Hi everyone, and welcome back to day 15 of Christmas in September at Stamp with Anna. And today is the last day that we're going to be using the Hang Your Stocking bundle. And this is the card we're going to make. It's a little bit like one that we made a few stamp sets ago, which was this one here. This one, it's the same double fold card, except it closes up with a ribbon. This one that we're making today, the dimensions are just a tiny bit smaller, and it closes without a ribbon. This just slides right in there to stay closed. So the design is just a tiny bit different. So what we need for paper, and I don't mean to confuse you with all of my measurements. I know I'm not really good about putting my measurements on my blog, but I promise I will really try. So the way I do this when I'm trying to figure out my dimensions for a card is where's that piece of paper? I make myself a template of what my card looks like, and I number all of my layers, and then I assign them each a dimension. So I keep looking back at that. So I'm going to use that as I try to explain to you how I made this card. Our base card is crumb cake, and this is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4, and it's scored at 2 3/4. The inside of our card is it's very vanilla, 4 by 5 3/4. This little piece here that is the folding mechanism is, let's see, it's number 3 on my chart. It is 4 1/2 by 3 1/4 scored at 1. And that goes right there. Then our tranquil tide layers are 2 1/2 by 4 and 3 1/4 by 3. Then our very vanilla layers are 2 1/4 by 3 3/4 and 3 by 2 3/4. And that's how it all looks. I wish that I was good on those graphics on the computer where I could take a picture of this and I could make arrows and point out to the dimensions of every piece of paper, but I'm not really good with that. That's one of my goals that I want to work on. But in the meantime, this is the best I can do. And if I have time, I will jot this out on a piece of paper. I'll draw it out on a piece of paper with my little arrow, so it'll be on my blog. But I don't know that I can get to that as soon as I post this on my blog. But anyway, those are our card sizes, our paper sizes. And what we're using is, obviously, the Hang Your Stocking set. We're going to use this one here with the snowflake, and this one here for the top of the stocking, and we're going to use this flower here. I could have used the snowflake, but I decided to use something that was a little different than the snowflake because the snowflake is in this stocking here. And then we're going to use the coordinating Christmas stocking thinlets. We also need the stitched shapes framelets, as well as the layering oval framelets. And we also are using fresh fig ribbon. This is the cotton ribbon that's brand new in the finely woven ribbon, they call it, in the new catalog. And we're going to use fresh fig and tranquil tide inks. So the first thing we're going to do is our stamping. And so we're going to take our 2 very vanilla pieces, and I'm going to bring in my Pierce mat as well as some scrap paper to put underneath them. And I'm going to use the Tranquil Tide stamps ink, and I'm going to ink up my stamp and then stamp off on my scrap paper. I think I'm going to get another piece of scrap so that my Tranquil Tide is just a little lighter than my paper. Now, I'll show you this as I go along, but I'm not going to videotape myself doing the whole thing. That'd be pretty boring for you. I'm going to ink it up, stamp it off, and bring it to my paper. Ink it up, stamp it off, and bring it to my paper, just very randomly. Now, I want to show you what happens, because this is a brand new stamp pad, and it's very juicy. So my block is getting inked up, as well as my fingers. So you need to be conscious of that. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a lot of ink, unwanted smudges all over your project. So have a wipe handy so you can wipe your fingers, and have your stamping scrub handy as well. So after every few stamps, you can just clean it off and your block stays clean. Okay, so I'm going to go off camera and finish stamping these two pieces up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm all done stamping my snowflakes, or my little flowers, so I'm going to put them off to the side. The next thing I'm going to stamp is my stocking. And I used the stocking that has the snowflakes in it, and I'm going to stamp that in Fresh Fig. And again, it's photopolymer, so I have my Pierce mat here. Let's press that down. Then, while I have my fig, I'm also going to stamp the top of my stocking, as well as the Merry Christmas sentiment. And this piece of paper wasn't big enough to be able to die cut it out, so that's why I'm using another piece. Okay, and that's all the stamping we have to do. So now I'm going to go do my die cutting. And what I'm going to die cut is, I'm going to die cut my stocking. I'm going to die cut the top of my stocking. With the stitched framelits, I'm going to die cut the Merry Christmas. And then I need a scrap piece of fig. And I'm going to die cut my scallop out. I have to get that because I didn't cut myself one. I'm going to go do the die cutting, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have everything die cut. And now I'm going to put the card together. The first thing I'm going to do is take this piece here that has the 1-inch score on it. I'm going to add some adhesive to that piece. And I'm going to put that on this piece here, keeping this flap to the left. I'm going to line this up, center it from top to bottom, and bring it right up to the edge. Okay, and now we have our closing mechanism. Now I'm going to take the Very Vanilla, and I'm going to mount that on the inside of my card. Okay, and now we just have to do our layering. We're going to put the narrow Tranquil Tide on the left side. And then we're going to put our snowflake, our narrow snowflake, on the left side. Now, before we put our Tranquil Tide on the larger flap, we're going to put the Very Vanilla on, because then we have to tie a ribbon on it before we attach it to our card. So I'm going to mount that. And I'm going to take my ribbon. I'm going to cut a piece that's a little wider than the square, and then another shorter piece. I'm going to take the longer piece and lay it down vertically, and take my shorter piece and lay it over it horizontally, making a cross. Now I'm going to take the longer piece and make a knot. And when I pull it, that's the back of my bow. I'm going to turn it over, and there we have a nice attractive knot for our card. So now we're going to attach that onto our Tranquil Tide. So we're going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back. I'm going to attach these longer ones there. And we're going to cut the tails off of the shorter one. And now we're going to mount this onto our card. And that goes right there. Now we're going to mount our sentiment. Now, when I put this on my card, I am going to, this one here, my ribbon is over just a tad bit more, so I tuck that in just so that I don't mind it's tucked in. I thought it looked nice. It was overlapping because this overlapped. But on this one, it's not going to be overlapped as much. And again, I don't mind that. It's just the ribbon over that. It's perfectly fine to me. So now I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the top of my stocking piece and attach that to my stocking. Now, before I attach the stocking to the card, I'm going to get my dimensionals, and I'm going to place the dimensionals on my card instead of on my stocking, and that's because I want the dimensional butted right up to this, so that when I turn this flap in, it's going to hit that dimensional and it's not going to open. So I know my stocking is going to go right about here, right? So I'm going to put a dimensional with this straight line hitting right up against that right there, and the same down here. I'm just going to put my thumb where I want it to go, right here. And then my third dimensional I'm going to put on the heel of my stocking. So when I take these off and I lay my stocking on it, it acts as a clasp. See that? So it's just closes a tiny bit differently than this other one that we made. This one we did with a ribbon, and the one we did today we did with dimensionals, and I think I like them both equally the same. So this stamp set also has a nice sentiment that I'm going to put on the inside. I know I never do insides of the cards when I do my videos. It says, wishing you a season filled with love and happiness. So I'm going to just open my card up and stamp that right there in the middle. So there is today's day 15 of Christmas in September with Stamp with Anna. I hope you'll come back tomorrow for day 16 when we'll be using the Christmas Pines set. So if you have any questions about this project or any of the products I've used, or if you still don't have a holiday catalog and would like to receive one, please contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow.